If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast, presented, of course, by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman turned podcaster turned broadcaster, on fumes right now after sleeping about 3.5 hours, maybe, after calling the Bills-Titans game last night for Westwood One in Western New York, and then driving back to my home for all of you guys and gals here in central Pennsylvania. But the show, as they say, must go on. And I've been looking forward to this show ever since Steve Fezzik and I absolutely dominated week 2 in the NFL, like we always do for you guys, like we knew we would. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL on social media. He is at Fezzik Sports and only at Fezzik Sports. And Steve, after us both being down last week, boy, did it feel good to have a major bounce back week. You were up 7 units. You're now up 5 units on the year because you were down 2 in week 1. I was up 9 units. I'm up 3 units for the year since I was down 6 units in week 1. I got to guess on some level, Steve, week 2 is usually a pretty good week for people.
Well, pros know week 2 is usually better for unders than for overs. So, that, and back in the 0-1 teams against the 1-0 teams is typically a pretty good thing. But I got to tell you, early in the year is easier to beat, in my opinion, in all sports, when there's still these preconceived notions about teams. And if you've done your homework, you can get ahead of what becomes obvious to everyone by week 5.
Interesting. So we got to make our hay now.
Yeah, that's really true in all sports. I would say it's going to be very rare come week 11 that there's going to be a line that pops up and we're going to say, wow, that line makes no sense. But that certainly still happens early in the year in the NFL.
Well, speaking of early every morning, Steve, I take my AG1 from Athletic Greens. You know why? I don't eat nearly as many vegetables as I should. I kind of didn't want to take a multivitamin pill anymore, and it costs less than $3 a day. And all of like the successful, smart, healthy people I talk to all seem to be taking it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'll absorb 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotic and adaptogens every morning. And to make it easy for you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase, which you should absolutely do. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/money. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/money to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. As we do every week, Steve, in the show that is typically 30 minutes or less, we will review the week before because it's instructive. Chiefs, Chargers. Neither one of us had anything. You would have leaned to the Chiefs. That would have lost. They were laying 3.5, and the Chargers lost by 3. Patriots, Steelers. I had the Steelers teased up to plus 7.5. They lost by 3. That was paired with the Panthers. So that was one of my 2-unit wins on a 6.2-unit 2-team teaser. As for the Bucs and the Saints, neither one of us had anything. That was a true stay away game. Dolphins, Ravens. I had the Dolphins getting 3.5. Steve, it was looking bad. It was looking real bad. You leaned Dolphins. They end up coming all the way from behind to win outright. That was a wild one, Steve. there are a bunch of teams that really blew it in week 2. How the Ravens were allowing Tyreek Hill to get behind them with nobody near him multiple times. A bunch of these teams, Steve, did like the only things they couldn't afford to do to win in these games.
Yeah, and all the ESPN type analysts are like, oh, they're calculating the probability of victory, and they're like, Baltimore had a 99% chance to win. So did Las Vegas. Well, these are based upon the old NFL, 20 years of data. It's a brand new ball game, Ross. It's not the game you played. If you don't keep scoring, you're vulnerable because your defense gets tired with the passing game, and those big O linemen suddenly can keep the defense out, and no one can stop anyone downfield.
Then we get to Jets-Browns. I leaned to the Jets. Man, they won outright. We both leaned to the Jets. Gosh darn it. And they won outright. The Browns yacked that one unbelievably in so many ways, including, do you think they should have told Chubb to go down if he got the first down? I mean, in hindsight, but that feels like a tough one, Steve.
It really isn't tough because after you're up 7, you run the ball 3 times up the middle, you tell Chubb, fall down on the 1, don't go in the end zone. He's already had a history of doing this. Anyone who played the win game when they're up 10-7, was a year ago or 2 years ago, he went out of bounds on the 1. So Chubb is familiar with falling down on the 1. You know, I got to tell you, these running backs, it's just laziness. They know they're supposed to get out of bounds. And how many times do you see them coming towards the sideline and they make a half-hearted effort to stay in bounds and they get pushed out? It's like, you got to have a little more heart in you you should practice it to go down. Game was over. Game's done. They win by 7 or 10. All they got to do is fall down, run the clock down to 20 seconds, kick the field goal maybe. It's just unbelievable. It cost them the game.
Commanders-Lions. I like the Lions, even though they were laying 2.5 points for 1 unit. That came through. Colts-Jags. Now, this is a good feeling, Steve. We only had one best bet last week, and it was the Jags getting 4 at home, and they beat the Colts 24-0, Steve. So our best bet won 28-0.
Only 24-0, but well, it won by 28 points. You are correct. The way we keep score in Vegas, and you know what? I'm extremely sensitive. I gave this out to my clients +4, and then they said, don't bet at +3. Well, maybe they should have bet it +3 and -3 and -13 and -23 because they just dominated.
Panthers-Giants. We both teased the Panthers up to +8.5, and it came through. They lost by 3 to the Giants, so that was my teaser, the Steelers and the Panthers. You had the Commanders and the Panthers. You needed an epic comeback from Wentz to get back in there. Actually, you know what? You had that up to 8.5. That's a loser, isn't it? They lost by 9.
Yeah, the idiot kicker missed the extra point. Time to
all right,
dock
grades. We got to check on Sean Grady grades us. We got to check on Steve's teaser with the Commanders because it was +8.5. And they lost by 9.
You know, so it's interesting in the post-game interview. They asked Rivera, why'd you go for 2 down 8? And I was like, you know what? Whoever the reporter was that asked the question, I'd fire him immediately. I'd just be like, you're a reporter. This is your business. I'm doing 100,000 things, people. All right, 100,000 things. Everyone I know knows you go for 2 down 8. Everyone. There's not one person that's competent and qualified that doesn't know this at this point, because assuming you get 2 touchdowns, you win automatically if you get the first touchdown, and your opponent can't score, of course. And you have a free roll. If you miss the 2-point conversion, you can still win in overtime. So you win about 60% going for 2. Everyone knows this except for that. There's one reporter. That's your job, dude. Go do something else. You suck at your job.
Falcons-Rams. Falcons were getting 10.5. You leaned Falcons. I put 2 big units on the Falcons. They came back. That was awesome. That block punt, that was awesome. Troy Anderson from Montana State. I love you, bro. 2 units, cash them. Seahawks, Niners. My only loser of the week, Steve. I had a bunch of bets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 8 bets. My only loser was Pete Carroll because he's a loser that calls a halfback option pass with DJ Dallas on the goal line. And oh, by the way, they still might have covered if Trey Lance doesn't get hurt. You never know how well Trey Lance plays in that game.
Well, you nailed it. San Fran, much better team with Jimmy G. And in fact, bonus pick, San Fran over 9.5 wins. That's available at DraftKings minus 120. That is one fine wager right now. Big upgrade. I'm on an island. I got Jimmy G as an average starting quarterback. I had Trey Lance 3 points worse than average. Major upgrade. 49ers heading to the NFC title game because their quarterback got hurt. When was the last time that happened? Team get upgraded that much.
Wow. So have you got in on that? You like the over now?
Yes, I bet San Fran under 10 to start the season. Well, things change, Ross. I went from a bad quarterback to a competent one.
Interesting. Very interesting, Steve. All right, I lost 2 units on that one. Then we've got Bengals, Cowboys, and the Cowboys were getting 7.5. And I wimped out, only put 1 unit on them, and they won. They won the game outright. Cooper Rush looks solid. Micah Parsons is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. He's like, I think I just saw on DraftKings, Steve, somebody put $22,000 on Micah Parsons to be Defensive Player of the Year at plus 450. What do you think about that? TJ Watt's hurt. Nobody else has gotten off to a great start, and he's like unstoppable. Is that a good bet, Steve? It feels like a better bet than Josh Allen MVP at plus 500 or something.
Well, last week I came on and said the Cowboys have less than a 2% chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, that was tongue in cheek, but I felt it was certainly less than 25%. So, you know what? I'm not going to make any more bets on Cowboys players and just stick to the point spread week to week.
Cowboys got me a unit there. Cardinals, Raiders. Neither one of us had a play. You leaned Cardinals. Unbelievable comeback by the Arizona Cardinals. Texans, Broncos. You leaned Texans. I took them 1 unit. I wimped out there thinking the Broncos might bounce back. I got a lot to say about the Broncos moving forward. Steve, I don't think a head coach has ever had a worse start in their first 2 games than Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, and stop blaming the coach. It's not the coach's fault making poor decisions, which of course he did, but that's not his job. The mistake he makes is he didn't hire someone competent, I'm available, to just tell him basic strategies on certain things, when to go for it, when to use your timeouts. You need to have a guy that's all he does, and he tells the coach, call timeout, kick the field goal, go for it, etc., and makes an immediate, decisive, correct decision, an analytics guy, and Denver just needs to hire one of these guys. By the way, there is a theme here. Teams with new quarterbacks that didn't play much in preseason, not enough time to learn the offense. Look at Denver, Carolina, Washington, Pittsburgh. Struggling here. The only new quarterback that's doing well, Atlanta and Mariota. Mariota played like crazy in preseason, so maybe those teams will improve when there's more synergy between the quarterback and his new surroundings going forward.
Interesting, Steve. Very interesting. I hadn't noted that. I hadn't thought about that. I don't remember how much Trubisky played in the preseason. What about Bears, Packers? You put a unit on the Packers laying 10, and it cashed. They won 27-10. Then we've got the 2 games last night. I leaned to the Titans getting 9.5. Thank good it was only a lean. They got annihilated by the Buffalo Bills, the best team in football. And then, you had the Bills and the Niners both laying 2.5 in a teaser. You had a 7-point teaser for both of them that obviously we would have graded a little bit differently had you lost. But they won. Bills and Niners both won easily. You didn't even need to do the 7 points. But I know why you did it, to get through the key numbers. Vikings, Eagles. Neither one of us said anything. We both didn't have a play. The Eagles destroyed them 24-7. Again, I was up 9 units. You were up 7. For the year, I'm up 3. You are up 5. Best bets, we are now 1-1. We move forward to week number 3 in the NFL, and we do it with a new sponsor. Listen up, sports fans. I know we love our beer and wings, but how about wine? When it comes to killer vino at drastically low prices, we're talking 30 to 70% off retail. Here at Even Money, we head straight for last bottle. Whether you took the over or the under for the game, you'll need a glass of something terrifically tasty. They got the goods. For those not yet in the know, Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa. One wine every day until it's gone, faster than the Chargers in the playoffs. Wow. I'm reading this. That's harsh. If the Chargers even make the playoffs, Last Bottle wines. Last Bottle has a deal just for Even Money listeners. Use promo code MONEY to get 10% off your next order with Last Bottle. That's lastbottlewines.com. Lastbottlewines.com. Use code MONEY. Just got 3 bottles of this stuff. My wife, very, very happy. Let's make her happier, Steve. Let's win some money. Thursday night, Steelers are in Cleveland. Cleveland is laying 5.5 at DraftKings.
Yeah, and I think this is a massive overreaction to Pittsburgh struggling early in the year. I get it. They're missing TJ Watt, but I make this game 3. I don't want to play a Thursday road team. Those teams do lousy historically because of the travel, not enough time to prepare. Well, I think it's probably a bus ride from Pittsburgh to Cleveland, and they'll have half the crowd. I don't think that's a big deal. Should be a 3-point game. I'll grab the 5.5, 2 units. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Could not agree more. Don't understand the line at all. Not even a little bit. Love the Steelers getting the 5.5. That's 2 units for me, and that's also a best bet.
The best bet.
All right, up next, I'm going to figure out who the next game is. It's the Chiefs and the Colts. The Chiefs are laying 7 in Indy, Steve.
All right, sometimes the best bets are the hardest ones to make. During the summer, this line was 3. Obviously, the Colts, they're not nearly what we thought they were. Another one of these new quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, that is not able to play effectively right now with his teammates. But what has Kansas City done for me to be impressed by? I mean, the Chargers, they're going to beat Kansas City. 99-yard interception return turns the tide on that game. The Chiefs didn't get upgraded. The only way this line makes sense, it's through all these key numbers from the summer, is if Indy is a good touchdown worse than what they were. Yeah, they're a lot worse. It's a great spot for them, though. Give me the Colts, 2 units plus the 7.
Wow, interesting. I'm passing that game. I got nothing. To me, I'm a little bit nervous. The Colts can't possibly be this bad, right? I mean, I had them last in the Ross Tucker Football Podcast power rankings. How about the Bills laying 5.5 in Miami against the Dolphins?
Yeah, by the way, with your power ratings, you don't really believe that. Come on. You'd bet the Colts for a fortune if they were like on a neutral against a Houston or Atlanta or Seattle, right?
No, I don't think I would. Not right now. Not based on what I've seen. I'm going by after 2 games, I go by what I've seen this year. 1 game, no. 2 games, it's like 90% what I've seen this year, 10% preconceived notions.
And that's really the nutshell. I still carry like 60% of the past, and I only weight the last 2 games like 40%. So that's why I wind up with much different power ratings. But we all can agree the Bills are not just the best team in the NFL. They're best by margin. But you know what? The point spread tax has hit on Buffalo at 5.5. This is very rare. I don't play this many games. 2 units, Dolphins. I'll take the home dog and a crazed crowd here.
Can't do it. Not after what I saw last night. I would lean to the Dolphins, but the Bills are a wagon, man. I mean, the Bills are very impressive. I just can't do it. Ravens at the Patriots. Ravens are laying 3 points here, Steve.
Yeah, so the summer line on these teams, this was a pick 'em. I think from what I've seen from the 2 weeks, Baltimore's maybe not quite as good as what we expected, and they're banged up in the secondary. And New England's about what we expected. So why the line move? Why is Baltimore not just -3, but extra big? Doesn't make sense to me. I'm front-ended. Most of my plays this week are on the early games. I'm on New England, 2 units plus the 3.
Going head-to-head, putting 1 unit on the Ravens. I think the Ravens are good. I think the Ravens had some mental errors, that miscommunication that the Dolphins took advantage of. I don't see Mac Jones and those receivers being able to do it. I think the Ravens go up to New England and win. I really wish it was 2.5. It's not. That's why I'm only doing 1 unit on the Ravens minus the 3. We move forward, Steve, to the Bengals and the Jets. Bengals are laying 5 points in New York.
And I make it 5, so I pass.
Yeah, that line feels about right to me. I don't feel like I know these teams well enough to bet my money on them. So that's a pass for me as well. I don't even really have a lean. Raiders, Titans. Raiders on the road laying 2.5 in the Belichick Disciple Bowl, McDaniels and Vrabel.
Obviously, line steaming on Las Vegas based on that horrible Tennessee performance. Tennessee's still well coached. When the line gets to 3, if it gets to 3, I'll get interested. No interest at 2.5, pass.
They were embarrassed last night. They were humbled. Something's off with the Raiders. I think the Titans at least keep it close at home. I'm going to tease them up to 8.5 and pair it with the Carolina Panthers up to 8.5 because Carolina has shown at least they can keep these games close. 2 units, 2-team teaser, Carolina and Tennessee. Eagles are laying 6.5 already on the road, Steve, against the Carson Commanders.
And it's only going to go higher because the correct narrative, Ross, you've been at this game, right? Home game for Philly, even though they got to travel, right?
The crowd will be about 50% full. And of the 50% of the people that are there, 50% of them will be Eagles fans.
Right. So because of that, I'm reluctant to back the Commandos, as I call them. So I would certainly lean their way, especially because this line is certain to go to 7. If you're going to bet this now, lay the Eagles after what we just saw on Monday Night Football. They're going to get all the support. If you like Washington, bet at 5 minutes before kickoff. Who knows? Could even go to a 7.5.
I would lean Washington here. You know, they've been pretty competitive. They won against Jacksonville. They've moved the ball pretty well. Everybody's going to be telling the Eagles how great they are this week. Short week for the Eagles on the road. I would only lean Washington getting those points. Saints-Panthers. Saints are laying the 2.5. I already teased Carolina up to 8.5. What about you, Steve?
All right, well, DraftKings, their odds makers are telling you the right side on this game because the entire world's at 3, and DK is dealing 2.5. So they're saying, you know, all that Saints money you want to bring minus 2.5, just bring it. Bring it on. And I agree with them. I think Carolina's the right side. At all these other places, plus 3. I'm not going to ever bet a plus 2.5 when the market's 3. But certainly I will be looking to invest at other books with Carolina.
Interesting. Houston is in Chicago. Houston is getting 3 points, Steve.
I've got a bet on team in Chicago and a bet against team in the Bears, playing a bet against team in Houston. 2 teams that are tied for last in my power ratings. I'll pass the game.
Putting 1 unit on the Texans getting the 3 points. They've been right there, both games, right there. They're playing hard for Lovie Smith. I think to me, it's a toss-up game. You're going to give me 3 points? I'll put a unit on the Texans getting 3 points in a toss-up game. Now we got the Lions at the Vikings. The Vikings are still laying 6 in this one, Steve.
And they were laying 7. And then that travesty of a Monday night game, I think we downgrade them a point for it. So it looks like a proper adjustment. I'll pass the game.
Yeah, I'm putting 2 units on the Lions. And I don't think it's an overreaction. I think the Lions are feeling it. Their offense is playing very well. I think it's real what they've done so far. And it's a short week for the Vikings. 6 points is a lot. 2 units on Detroit plus the 6. Jaguars, Chargers. Jags getting 7 in LA against the Chargers.
So this line is right if Herbert is close to 100%. I do think it's a free roll. If you had to bet the game, I would bet Jacksonville because you know what? What is it? Broken rib cartilage?
Yeah.
Is that like saying broken ribs? But they didn't want to say broken ribs, so they just talked about cartilage. Now I eat a lot of ribs.
Supposedly cartilage is even worse.
I eat a lot of ribs, and it seems like there's a bone there and there's meat. I guess cartilage is somewhere in between. I don't know. I'm not an MD, but it's possible he just has broken ribs. And anyone who has had even a partially broken rib. You ever have a broken rib, Ross?
No.
I hear you can't even breathe at night. Like you're lying down and it's so difficult. So I'm sure they'll have a flak jacket on him. It's got to compromise Herbert a little bit. It's got to compromise the number of times they throw. I could only look to Jacksonville.
I got a strong lean to Jacksonville. Strong lean. And in fact, I like Jacksonville's organization right now. What I saw from Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, I might buy some of them over at Symbol, the stock market for sports. Pro Football Focus calls Symbol the perfect blend of sports and the stock market. It's a brand new way to invest in your favorite teams and profit off their success. For me, I'm gonna invest in the Jaguars because they got to be low. I got to see their valuation on Symbol, but they got to be low. I'm gonna buy them low. They're only gonna go up from here. Download the Symbol mobile app for iOS, like I did, by searching SIMBULL in the App Store. Use promo code MONEY to receive a free team stock valued up to $150 upon signing up. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Like, why would you not use code MONEY to claim your free stock on the Symbol mobile app? Maybe you'll buy some Jacksonville Jaguars stock with me. All right, Steve. Packers getting 2.5 against the Bucks. Bucks are at home laying 2.5.
So my first thought was Tampa looked a little cheap, but you know what? This Mike Evans suspension, I know he's appealing it. That's huge because it's not like Mike Evans is worth the full point. But you know what? I think he is because with all the other receivers, with Godwin, with Gage, Gronk not there, depleted receiving core, Julio's not right. They need Evans. So without him, my goodness, this total dropped. It was 48 last week and it's 41.5. I did bet under 48. I do have a screenshot for all those who are going to say I'm past posting. This is going to be an ugly game. It's going to be 20-20, 20-19. I don't know who's going to win. I'll pass.
Yeah, I think the Packers are a potential teaser leg for someone up to 8.5, but I'm going to pass the game as well. Rams, Cardinals. I just realized, by the way, I have not been giving out the totals. I apologize for that. Rams, Cardinals. The Rams are laying 3.5 on the road. Totals 49.5.
Yeah, so I don't understand how the Rams, as poorly as they played to start the season, one good half, the first half, where they got a pick 6 against Atlanta. Although I guess you could say stepping in front of the Buffalo juggernaut, maybe that game doesn't look as bad. Bottom line is I'll take above 3. I have to invest in Arizona. 2 units, Cards plus the 3.5.
Interesting. I think I'm going to go with you there. I don't think Arizona is very good, but at home against a Rams team that doesn't look great, getting 3.5. I'll go plus 3.5, 2 units, best bet.
The best bet.
Falcons are in Seattle, taking on the Seahawks. I wonder if they stayed on the West Coast or not. I don't know. Anyway, Falcons getting 2.
They are staying in the West
42.
Coast. The Falcons are staying out west at an undisclosed location. I don't know where they're at, but I know this. I love teams that spend a week away from all the distractions at home, don't have to go to the daughter's, council at school. Let mom do that. Let's just focus on football. And because of that, Atlanta, plus the 2 is attractive. I want to tease Atlanta. I'm going to wheel a couple teasers here. I'm going to tease Atlanta plus the 2 up to the 8, 6-point teaser. I'll take Green Bay and 1 teaser with Atlanta. I'm going to double up. I'm going to tease Atlanta. I'm going to go down. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos from 1.5 up to 7.5 and a second teaser, both of them with the Atlanta Falcons, 2 units on each of those 2 teasers.
I'm teasing the Falcons as well up to plus 8, and I'm pairing them with the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. Cowboys going up to plus 8.5. The Giants aren't blowing out anybody all year, ever. So I like the Falcons plus 8, Cowboys plus 8.5, 2 units. We both like the Falcons as a teaser leg. Niners, Broncos, you kind of already said your bet, Steve. I'm laying the 1.5 with the Niners. They're a good team. The Broncos, I think I'm going to bet against the Broncos until proven otherwise. I think the Broncos are a bad football team with a bad coach, and I'm betting against them until proven otherwise. I think the Niners win the game. It's a 1.5, 2 units, Niners, totals 45.5. Monday nights, Cowboys at the Giants, Steve. Cowboys are getting 2.5 on the road. I already said it. I'm teasing them with the Falcons up to 8.5.
Oh, let's go into I'll go with the teaser party with you as well. The Giants are 2-0. No, they're not. They're 0-2. They've had 2 ties. Flip 2 coins, flip 2 heads. Good for them. They're 2-0. They got lucky. They're no good. This is going to be a really close game. So because of that, and I liked your Green Bay tease also, let's add a teaser. Let's put another Packer teaser in there plus 8.5, and we'll tease it in with the Cowboys plus 8.5. We have a best bet on that teaser.
The best bet.
Let's love the show. Love the social media interaction. Follow at Ross Tucker Pod on Twitter. We're going to DM out a Madden code, but you got to be following us to get it. Shout out to all of the great listeners. We love you guys. Let's have another great week. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, The Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and The College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.